famed photographer, child advocate, an honor and pleasure to interview Geddes, the one and only, the beautiful, the fabulous. It's a shame. It's a shame that more people don't get to see this face as opposed to you behind the lens and what your eye sees.
Well,
Welcome.
You know, that's interesting because people often say to me, "Oh my God, I didn't think you'd look like that." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know what you expected."
They mean you're hot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what they mean.
Sure.
Let's talk a little bit about, let's go back first of all.
Yeah.
You really hit a nerve by, doing these beautiful fairy-like, animal-like sessions with little wee infants. Why did you choose them as your subject?
I started in the early 90s. You know, I did 10 years of portraiture before then. And some of these babies from these early photos are probably just about to have babies themselves. You know, that's how long ago it was. And I accidentally put a baby in a flower pot and everything just exploded.
Wait, accidentally put a baby in a flower pot?
It was just a little bit of inspiration because, you know, every plant I look at dies. So I had an empty flower pot and this little baby came in, a 6-month-old, wearing a little fairy cap, and I thought it would look like a tiny little cactus. Little did I know that, I'd still be talking about it in 20 years' time.
The best things happen by accident.
They do. They absolutely do.
Wasn't it a huge challenge, though? They say it's toughest working with animals and babies. What was the trick? You'd get them early in the morning when they're rested?
Do you know, people say to me, how do you get the babies to sleep and how do you manage the babies? And I just say, really, 30 years. Experience, and I think if you do, say, your 10,000 hours, you kind of know how to draw something out of the hat, even in the most difficult of circumstances, and children can be difficult. But most I've photographed newborn babies, and if you get them at the right time and they've got a full tummy and they're warm and comfortable, they don't cry. They're fine. They sleep.
And you were irked by
mind you, if you've got a newborn at home, don't call me.
I know, don't call her, or actually call her. Yeah, she'll be a great sleep doula. And you were irked by all of those stage stilted baby shoots. I mean, we all have them, right? The black and white, and you're doing one of these, and they force you in a really weird position. You're all gassy, and it's a terrible
with
picture.
No personality,
Right?
And do you know what? If you've got a 2-year-old at home now, and you're going to photograph them, in 20 years' time, you're going to look at that image and get a sense of what they were like as a 2-year-old. You know? So I used to say in the early days, don't dress them in their best clothes, or they don't need matching socks. Just whatever they are is what they are.
Well said. And now you've used all of your celebrity, truly. You're known around the world. You've sold millions of copies, prints, books, calendars. You wanted to lend your platform to help others. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, look, after 30 years, I consider myself an advocate for children. And when I was asked to do this series of images of 15 survivors of meningococcal disease, it was just a no-brainer. I was a little bit nervous and a bit taken back in the beginning, really, because to be asked to photograph children who literally don't have limbs in some cases, I thought, well, how will I tie them all together? Because it's a global project, and 4 of the people, 4 of the children in this series are from Canada. Little Bernadette that you're seeing there now, who's 6 years old, she's from Australia. And when you look at her, first you look at it and you go, what a beautiful little girl, and then you realise that she doesn't have legs. But the fact that she doesn't have legs does not define her. So, I don't want people to recoil from these images. I want them to be educated. I want parents to learn to be vigilant in terms of meningococcal disease, And this is young Kate, who was 17, nearly 18 when I photographed her. She's from Canada. And she said she wanted to be a part of this series because, to dispel false notions of beauty with teenage girls, it's always like, oh, you're too fat, or you're not pretty enough, and all this sort of thing. And she's beautiful, and she had meningococcal disease only literally a couple of years ago, and she's been left with bad scarring on her legs, which was very troubling for her in terms of being a teenager.
Of course.
But she said, it doesn't define me. And that's the message all of these survivors are getting across, A little Elias here, would you believe he's 7 years old? And he's lost his legs and he's got really bad scarring from skin grafts. He's a great example of every one of these 15 survivors wanted to get a message across, and when you look into his eyes, he looks older than 7, Like in the studio, he was a little 7-year-old boy and he's zipping around, and all of a sudden I put him up on this pillar and he just stared into the camera. It just gave me goosebumps because
he's gone through so much.
He's gone through so much, and he wants to get this message across.
Yes.
And there's 3 really important points. And if you're a parent at home, I don't want to scare you, I just want you to be vigilant.
Okay.
Number one is recognise the symptoms of meningococcal disease because they echo colds and flu, you get a stiff neck, cold hands and feet, and the purple rash, which is really significant, yeah. So recognise the symptoms. And number two is act quickly and decisively because you know your child better than anybody else. And if you think your child is acting uncharacteristically, jump up and down and get attention from medical personnel because this is a relatively rare virus which sometimes makes it more dangerous because a lot of these doctors have never had a patient present with meningococcal disease.
They don't even know to diagnose it.
And number three is check with your doctor, make sure your child's vaccines are up to date and ask about meningococcal disease.
Well said. Thank you so much. Inspiring images, redefining beauty and sending such a great message. For more information on the Protecting Our Tomorrows campaign, go to www.protectingourtomorrows.tumblr.com and Geddes.com. Also, there's an ebook that can be downloaded through iBooks or through the website protectingtomorrows.tumblr.com.
From tonight, a free ebook. Yes, everybody needs to download it so they get the information.
Thank you so much. A true honor meeting you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Beautiful inside and out. Jen, over to you.